Hey YouTube, Darcy Scott here, and today we're going to be doing another music review. It's been a while, but I'm excited for this one. We're going to take a look at the latest live Yes album, Topographic Drama. It was recorded on their last round of touring they did. Obviously, this is the first time they've recorded and toured without Chris Squire, their original bassist, who passed away shortly before the recording of this album and this tour. So you might think with that, their last original member gone, there's kind of a shadow of themselves. And a lot of people have said that about their most recent tours, their latest recordings. I think there's a lot in this album that speaks to both camps. I think this is definitely something worth checking out, and we're going to get into it track by track. First, I'll show you the release itself. This is the vinyl edition. It's 3 LPs, 180 gram vinyl. Great cover art by Roger Dean. You got your full track listing. You open it up. There's the band there, dedicated to Chris Squire there. More shots from the tour. The vinyl itself also comes with a small little booklet. Let me just be careful so I don't destroy this entire thing. Just lay it down there for now. Just a small little booklet. You know, it's great when vinyl comes with little extras like this. You don't get too much these days in vinyls. You get the record, maybe a download. But again, you get some just live shots, promo shots, a nice close-up view of the Roger Dean artwork, which is just a blending of work he's previously done for the original album. So obviously this album was done on their recent tour where they're doing what they've done a lot recently, which is cool. They just play live albums all the way through, or we'll get into it, almost all of an album all the way through. So this one was all of Drama, and the first track and last track with a little extra from Tales from the Topographic Ocean, which some people really like. It's very bombastic, prog rocky nature. Other people are turned away from it. I think hearing it this way, hearing half of the album in this format, is a really good way to dip your toe into that style of Yes to see if you like it. Let's go track by track though. Okay, so we start with the Drama track. Now Drama as an album, I'm okay with it. It's not the best. It's got some really good Yes songs, and it's got some weaker Yes songs. But overall, it's a good effort. It definitely appeals to maybe a type of Yes fan that hasn't been catered to in a while. So it opens with Machine Messiah, which is probably the proggiest track from that album. And they do pretty good. It's not the best version of a song on this album, but it is a good start. It's a lot heavier of a track than Yes usually performs, and that comes across in this version. There's a few misses here and there. That's true pretty much any live group you'll see on their opening solo week. Next up is White Car, which is a super short song. So I don't know how they got it wrong on this, but this is definitely a turnoff. And I think a lot of people that are turned off by this live album have only gone through the Drama tracks or started to, and it's not a very long album. So for things like White Car, the second song that you listen to be such a miss, it's definitely a turnoff. I was listening to this for a review, and because I like Yes to listen to, and I was like, what is this nonsense? White Car, not great. If you listen to this in any type of skippable format, MP3 or CD or whatever, you can pass up White Car, it's fine. Next up is Does It Really Happen, which is another okay pop rock song from the album Drama, which is a very 80s pop rock oriented album. This is maybe the first time it's very apparent there's no Chris Squire. He had a very distinctive tone and style of playing bass. Billy Sherwood takes up that role, and he does a good job. You can tell it's not Chris, but that's not a bad thing. It is a bad thing, but he does a pretty good job at just picking up that style the best he can. Next is Into the Lens, which is never been one of my favorites, but actually I like it more on this live album than I do on the album itself. I couldn't tell you why, but it works pretty well. I think it's probably the most successful non-prog track from this section, but I find in general the drama side of this tour, of this album, just didn't really appeal to me too much, and I don't necessarily know if that's partly because of the source material, which I don't dislike it, but I'm kind of neutral towards it, or just their versions on here, because they do sound somewhat different, and part of that is it's live. Bands always sound different live. Part of that is the band celebrating their 50th anniversary. Part of that is they're playing with almost an ensemble cast of Yes musicians. I'm sure you're well aware, if you're watching this and you're still paying attention to this, that the group itself has been, split. There's another touring band called Yes, things like that. But it's a pretty good. Jeff Downs, who's on keyboards for the, he's been not in Yes, he's been in Yes for many years. On this group of tracks, he does an okay job, because this is what he joined Yes to do, was the more pop rock oriented stuff. It's all right. It's not what Yes is best at, in my opinion, but they do all right. Run Through the Light is the next one. It's fine. Again, that's why I think a lot of people get turned off this album. The drama side is fine. It's drama maybe a little bit weaker than it already was. So unless you're a mega fan of that album and you just can't wait to hear those songs live, we'll see. And then we get to the close with Tempus Fugit, which is pretty good. I think this is probably the best of the recorded bunch. I think it's stronger, not stronger here than on the original album, but it's probably the strongest recording of Drama for the live album. It's a song they play live anyway. A lot of the times it's an encore. And you can see why. It's, again, the outside of Machine Messiah, probably the second proggiest track on the album. And then we get two, not encores because they're not done, but two, the finish of that album, you get two bonus songs, I guess. So you get And You and I, which is from Close to the Edge, which is pretty good here. It definitely shows you that they're not playing with their classic lineup. It doesn't sound off, it just sounds different. Not in a good way, not in a bad way, just in the way that, right, this isn't the classic Yes I'm picturing in my head. And again, that's not a bad thing, it's just different. After that, we have Heart of the Sunrise to finish up this group of songs. Surprisingly weak. And again, this live album wasn't from one show, it was recorded across this whole tour. So I don't know why they picked this version. John's vocals in particular. He's a great singer, he can sing really well. He just sounds like he's off key or he's singing too high. Everything just seems a bit muddied. And that's a theme we'll return to again a bit later. But again, Heart of the Sunrise from Fragile, a song that they performed. They recently did a tour where they performed all of Fragile. So they should know that song pretty well, and they probably play this song for encores as well, so who knows what's up there. But now we get to the good stuff. This is, people aren't sure about this album, if they're not sure about the current lineup of Yes, definitely show them the topographic stuff part of this album. It's amazing. So Revealing Science of God, that's actually track 1 on the source material album. It's really good. It sounds wonderful. The band is just firing on all cylinders. It's awesome. There's no real weak points, even though the band plays differently now than they did back then. Some of them are a bit slower. They don't hit all the highlights. It's still awesome. You don't really notice it. You just kind of go with it. And it's great. They also include Leaves of Green, which is a section from a different song on the original album that's not part of Revealing Science of God. And it's great. It highlights, in my opinion, the two strongest things right now that Yes has going, this version of Yes has going for it, which is John's vocals. He's a great singer. He's obviously not trying too strongly to emulate the original vocals, but he's singing how he would naturally sing, and that works very well. And the guitar playing with Steve. He's still an amazing guitar player, and this really shows it. Following that, you have Ritual, which, again, is just as polished as Revealing Science. Ritual is the last song on Tales of Topographic. And it's really good. I don't like it as much as Revealing Science of God, just as a song, but it's performed just as well. It's more of a, not aggressive, Yes doesn't really have aggressive music. It's more of like a jam band kind of song on here. And it's really, really good. It does bring up a point where Alan White, was the touring, well, I guess still is the touring drummer, was going through back surgery, so he doesn't perform that much on this album. Unfortunately, it can be noticeable when he is. But he has Jay filling in for him, and who's a much more competent drummer from what I can hear on here. And it doesn't say anywhere, look through the credits online and everything, who's performing when. So there's a drum solo bit in this song. And I'm sure they didn't do a King Crimson in tour with 2 drum kits, but maybe they did. I don't know. Are they speaking back and forth to each other? Is this one drummer? Is it Alan? Is it Jay? Is it both? That would have been great to have in the booklet that they included, right? I know they both played drums, but when and where, I know they didn't both perform at the same time every show. So now we get back to closing that out. So we had the 2 sides. That's about an hour of material. We get 2 more greatest hits tracks. We have Roundabout, which is, again, they performed it on the Fragile. They've been performing this song since they released it, basically. It's a good version. The tones sound a little off. Steve's guitar in the beginning sounds a little quieter, subdued, or maybe the bass is too loud. But again, just like the other encore songs from the other side of the album, it just doesn't sound as well put together, which is strange because they had a whole tour of live recordings, presumably, to pick from. And then we end with All Good People from the Yes album. And it's just as good of a live version as you've ever heard. It's fun, upbeat, great sing-along, poppy, people like it, people know it. Again, it's just a good close, which is great. Like, I was hesitant about this album. I thought, I've seen Yes recently, I've heard some of their other live stuff recently. Not the worst thing in the world, but maybe you should know when to kind of call it quits, or write new material that better plays to what your current strengths are. This album, however, if you can slug through the drama stuff, not that it's bad, but I personally think some of it, maybe pick better versions or something. But specifically the topographic stuff, that super strong. Definitely recommend this album. It was a surprise for me, and I think it'd be a surprise for you too. Alright, that's everything for now. Bye guys.